Oh!
I gotta watch out.
You didn't warn me about that. Projects. Lots of projects. So this is our new to us 986.
It's a good running tractor. It really doesn't have that many hours on it either. Just we got some oil leaks here and there, little things. It's not a not a big deal. It runs, works good. Transmission ran sounds good. It's a good tractor, I think. Adjusted the valves on it. It had a little click and they were in good shape and it was real good and clean under the valve cover, so the engine seems like it's real good. And we're just gonna fix this steering cylinder, and we got a little bit of oil leak out of the hoses coming up here, the oil cooler. I just need to replace those hoses and we'll be done with it. Got to change oil in it and hydraulic filter and coolant filter, all that stuff. Pretty much just service it, but it's gonna be ready to go before very long. I also wanted to slide the front end in. It's out a little wide, I think. I want to bring it into this hole here, which might be, that can sometimes be quite the project. They get rusted, and the main tube don't really rust, but it's the tie rods that's really hard to, they'll rust inside that tube, and you gotta sometimes heat them and everything else to get them to slide. But we're overhauling, rebuilding a steering cylinder on our 986 tractor. I already got this wire out of this side. This is what they call a wire keeper type cylinder. There's a wire that runs around and groove in there, holds the ends in it basically, and you have to
you can't see
get in there
without that light.
Yeah.
You have to do what?
Well, this side I don't have the wire out yet, so we're basically going to turn this end while we pull the wire out. It goes all the way around the groove in there.
Hoses.
The old hoses were pretty bad, so we got
Replacements. I think they're just, their PSI is different.
They're different PSI.
Mm-hmm. This one is, they're just different brands.
Oh, 160.
This one is Gates, this one is Parker. So they're the same hose, but they're just different brands. So this one's 6,500, this one is 3,000. But they shouldn't,
3,000 should be enough.
Yeah.
To turn the wheels, I would hope.
Yeah.
So I got the one wire out already.
Mm-hmm.
I'm using my professional pliers here. You're supposed to have a gland wrench or something like that, but we're farmers, we don't have those kinds of things. So we use you just kind of pull this wire out as you turn this. And you usually have to get your pliers. But that wire in there in the notch is what holds the ends of the cylinder in, so you just kind of pull it out as you turn this, and it'll come out. And you try not to scuff up the the shaft of the cylinder. And there, that's out.
Ta-da!
We didn't even have a
The
gland
whole thing?
wrench.
It didn't break off?
No, that's the whole thing.
Oh, cool.
Hey, come here.
So we just kind of pop the end out.
Oh!
I gotta watch out.
You didn't warn me about
I
that.
didn't know that was gonna come out that way. It's a mess. need some sort of a hammer. A mallet, hammer, something.
Oh, they just hold in with those snap rings? So I
Must have
keep
took a-
eating dirt.
Quit eating dirt.
How do we eat in the dirt?
One should hold that.
Ta-da!
Yeah, now you gotta clean it all up.
Oh well, gotta do anyway.
Needed 4 hands.
That O-ring's got a notch out of it.
Mm-hmm. Makes it where it doesn't work the way it's supposed to. Right there is a big nick, right in there. And there's one over the side. I don't know, there's some kind of scoring right here though. Do you see that?
Yeah.
Right in there.
Yeah.
It's not great, but
Hopefully
as long as the piston looks okay though, really.
the shaft looks good. What you gotta worry about is in here.
Mm-hmm.
Is it scarred up in there?
I don't know. What do you
Not too
think?
bad.
You think? What do you
See the
think?
darn thing. Things get bad too. It starts to push your metal against metal. It's supposed to actually run on the rings more than. It wasn't steering bad or anything. It's just leaking out the end caps and yeah. I mean, it's not perfect, but it doesn't have any really deep gouges or anything in it. It'll probably be alright. We're sure gonna try it before we spend $300 some on a new cylinder.
Right.
Mainly we're down to just removing, replacing O-rings. Then there's a seal, a wiper seal on the end of this, and then O-ring in there, O-ring here. They're basically just 2 O-rings, a backing ring right there. And this is a wiper seal. Basically keeps the dirt from the external part of the rod going into the cylinder.
Okay. So all those seals get replaced in with that seal kit, right?
Right. Yeah, we got everything in there to rebuild it all. These sit in there. They are actually pretty loose. Sit in there.
That's not good.
They've got a bushing in here. It's removable, looks like. This one was pretty wore. It's a lip there, but it's wore clear out down here. So we'll have to get them new. That'll help tighten the steering up a lot. I probably should make sure before I take those out of there that you can get them the way parts are. That one's wore clear to the brass. They're wore. I don't know, I have to see what all parts we can get, but maybe some of this ought to be renewed. It might tighten it up a little bit. There's a lot of room in there. I'm pretty sure that's pretty wore out. When you put something in there that has a bushing and it moves like that much, that's pretty not good. That's all I know about it. But because all these are kind of wore there. Any used international, you walk up to them, you raise the tie rods up and down, and this whole thing will move because they just wear, and they're all getting pretty old nowadays too. So there's no such thing as a low hour one hardly anymore. So anyway, we're gonna call this pretty good. This is the inner ram of the cylinder. Basically, this is these are your end caps that go in the ends, and then that wire holds them in that we pulled out. And these have a O-ring inside that the ram runs through, and they have an O-ring on the outside with a backing ring in there that basically seals the cap. And then there's what they call a wiper seal that this shaft runs back and forth through, so it kind of makes sure that no dirt or nothing gets on. They have a backing ring right here. That's what came out of the other one, was the backing ring that came out when we took it apart. But there's a backing ring and an O-ring is what it amounts to in those. And we'll take them out here and clean these up. The only thing that actually seals the internal cylinder itself is this blue, I suppose it's like neoprene or something, I don't know what it's made out of. The only thing that seals the internal oil, the oil goes to each side of this. What makes it slide in the cylinder is your pressurized oil will go on this side, and then it'll let the oil return back on the other side, so that it makes the ram move that way. And then to go the other way, they pressurize this side and return the other side, and it slides back and forth in here, which makes your wheels go turn. Well, it's the internal seal that keeps the oil from leaking by inside here. See, these have, your oil goes either in here or in here under pressure and pushes that one way or the other. And that keeps the oil from going past it into the other side, so that it slides. Used to be a pretty standard kind of a seal kit that you could get, and when we went to order it, there was only one. It's a kit. It comes with the wires and everything that hold the end caps in, and then it's got all your seals and your O-rings and everything that's necessary to rebuild this thing. And parts are hard to come by nowadays. I guess it's distribution problems or who knows what. But when you take these apart, you want to pay attention to how they come apart and put the O-rings and the backing rings and everything back where they came from. So like this one here, you've got the O-ring on the inner side and your backing ring is on the outside side of the cap, so that's the way you want to put that back. So we'll just take this backing ring out. It's a split ring. It's tapered on each end of it so that it goes together and makes a solid ring, but it's split so you can get it out.
On purpose.
On purpose. The O-rings, on the other hand, are just a regular O-ring, and they come out like that. And I think the reason this cylinder was leaking quite a bit is because these O-rings on these caps are pretty beat up. And I think the caps were actually leaking more than anything on this thing. And then inside of there is another O-ring that seals where the shaft goes through it. And that is probably the other place where it's leaking. When we take those out, I will bet you that they're flat on one side from that shaft running back and forth through them. O-rings are round and they seal that way, but after the shaft runs back and forth enough times, it'll flatten one side of the O-ring and then they'll go leaking. There's an O-ring inside of there too where the shaft runs. It's right in here. We'll take that out. It has a backing ring as well, looks like. So there that is. The same thing on this one. We'll have to see. I think the backing ring is, yeah, it's to the outside. So pretty sure. Main thing is you get them back the way they come out. Yeah, the backing ring's to the outside, so that's the way that goes. I don't know if you're going to be able to see this, but you can see that O-ring is supposed to be round, but there's a flat edge all the way around that where that, see, it's not round, it's an actual beveled flat edge all the way around there where that shaft running through there has wore the O-ring flat there, so that's why it's leaking. It's actually very flat. You can see that. You see that in there? It's not really round. It's kind of got this edge right in there is flat and angled. That's where that shaft's been running. And that's supposed to be a round O-ring all the way around.
Tell them we're sorry for dirty hands.
My hands are dirty because I'm working on a hydraulic cylinder that's dirty. I'm sorry. But yes, if you see this in person, it's very flat. You can see it if you look at it. As they go, they don't get any better. They just get worse, and pretty soon you'll have a leak that's going to make you have to stop and fix it in the field because, you know, all your pressure's up against this when that cylinder's pushing one way or the other, and if the O-ring goes bad and the seal and all that, you can have it just blow out and have oil everywhere, and then you stop and you overhaul this under duress when you need to be doing something else. Yeah, that's when then you have issues with language and stuff. So, but anyway, that's why they're leaking, because those O-rings are wore in there, and the outer ring on the cap was wore too. So I think we're gonna, and the bore's a little bit scratched up maybe, but I didn't notice driving it that it was leaking by that much, so I'm not gonna really worry about that. I just want it to not leak oil out all over the place, and I think it'll be fine.